Hello everyone, I'm Nadia Munla. I'm an embodiment and intimacy coach. And today I want to talk a little bit about, this one's going to be, how I believe that it is incredibly powerful. In fact, it's one of the most powerful things for a woman to truly know how to submit, how to surrender. So I know your first thought, there's going to be this rise in you. There would be a rise in me too if I heard this, in the feminist in you that is saying, yeah, what? But we've worked so hard to gain our power, our equality. We're still working to do that. What are you talking about? Submitting, surrendering. Also, I'm not ready to give up the fight, right? So these are all thoughts that I had when I first started to really explore this concept that I like to think of as the master and the muse. What I want to talk about is the power in submission and why I feel this is one of actually the key things to making the world a better place, to changing the frequency of the world that we live in right now, really healing our planet, bringing us to the next level of ascension. And that is when we can start to work in partnership, in duality, both within ourselves and the energies with, internally, our inner masculine and our inner feminine, but also have that be demonstrated outside in the container that we're in romantic relationship when and if we choose to do so. And so there is just a level of potency and a level of power that will come with the capacity, and that doesn't mean you always have to do it. There is a time and a place to do it, to be clear. That is the agency that we have fought so hard for. And of course, this all goes without saying, just in case anyone's misinterpreting this, that there is absolutely no questioning about the equality here amongst genders at all. In fact, all we're simply saying is we can be equal and different, and we can be equal and take on different polarities, even if, it might be any polarity, right? It could be a woman taking on a masculine pole and so on and so forth. But if we are speaking to the classic framework of a woman who's primarily in her feminine essence but has over cultivated her masculine, this is what I see over and over again in my practice. And then the man who has also over cultivated his masculine but more of the dysfunctional sort of shadow version of the masculine, and hasn't really had an opportunity to step up into the support and the holding and the dominance and command that comes with being a master in your masculine. And so going back to this idea of the master and the muse, it's this really beautiful relationship between, an energy that commands you in such a way that you can exhale, just like a full body exhale. Like, how many of us are so tightly wound up and just walking around and go, go, go and hustle, hustle, hustle? I know all my clients talk about this all the time. So I imagine this is happening, possibly happening for you as well. If you're still watching this video, it probably is, right? And so we're walking around and all we deeply desire is like a big body exhale. And what happens is we don't submit to the master. We don't submit to the command, to the direction. And P.S., that direction can and should oftentimes come from within your own inner masculine. So when you create, there's a very simple example of this. If you create a schedule for yourself, a structure, a system, a spreadsheet, a certain time container, right? There is something really supportive that then allows you to exhale into the flow of creativity within those structures, right? There's a container there for your inner feminine. And the same translates out in the world, right? And with your relationship. Are you allowing for there to be this beautiful polarity between master and muse, between, you know, structure and flow, between the command and the melting, right? Between the domination and the submission. And I think so often we just have been really working towards sameness and resonance and like, let's all be equal. And then there's just this flattening that happens because the energy is just all the same. And what we want is we want to dance, we want to push and pull, we want there to be a tug, we want there to be magnetism and then repulsion. Like we want this ebb and flow, this opening and closing. That's what makes life rich. That's what makes relationships vibrant and alive and pulsating, right? In a way that is very different than you're like, I'm basically living with my roommate, right? And so this is why it's so important to cultivate that capacity for surrender, for submission, for being able to really melt into the command of both, you know, the person you might be in relationship with, but also then your inner structure, your inner masculine, your inner commander. And then when you get to a point where you have mastered that, the mastered being the muse, and sometimes mastered being the master, if that's the pole you want to take, then we are now working with an energy that is completely different than the energy we've been working with for quite a while now in relationships. And that itself is going to elevate consciousness across the board, in your home, in your community, in the world. And that's why I love doing this work. I get so excited and juiced up about the work of polarity and the work of conscious relating, because this is the incubator, this is the space that to me is creating our next level of consciousness.